What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, Under Center with Abelson, presented by the Real Spiel podcast. We are back, man. We are back. Took about a week away from recording. Didn't have a lot of action last weekend. We had the Army-Navy game, Washington, Boise State. But we figured we could rest the vocal cords, take a little break. But now we're back, man. We are back. We have first round of the college football playoffs. Texas A&M and Miami. Rematch with Oklahoma and Alabama. Some Group of Five action with JMU playing Oregon and Tulane playing Ole Miss. Whether or not you think the Group of Five deserves to be in this, they are. They deserved and got their spot with the criteria that's currently in place. The way it's set up, allow them to get a spot, so you cannot hate that they are in the field. Whatever you think about them. And we got a lot of news to get to just in terms of coaching, transfer portal updates, a lot of stuff has happened in the last week or so since conference championship games. So we are going to get into all of it. Before we do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, we are here a couple times a week talking all things college football. So let's get into it. Let's get straight into these first round matchups. The game that I am most excited for is Miami versus Texas A&M. Right now, let me go check real quick. I think Miami is a 3.5 point underdog. Yeah, Texas A&M is currently a 3.5 point favorite. And with this being at Kyle Field, that pretty much tells you if this game was on a neutral field that Miami would pretty much be favored. Or at the very worst, it would be a pick'em. Obviously, there was so much talk about Miami. Do they deserve to have a spot? Notre Dame. I mean, it feels like we have talked about that ad nauseum, so we are not really going to talk about that anymore. Miami is in the field, and they have a chance. They have a chance to do something, man. They have a chance to do something. These teams are pretty similar when you really think about it. They are both teams who are really good at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, Miami, we know they have that defensive line. They have, in my opinion, one of the best offensive lines in the country. Ruben Bain fronting that load. Offensive line has been just incredible all year for the most part. And then Texas A&M, again, their defensive line has been incredible. Offensive line has been playing well. The running back position has been playing well. So coming into these games, these teams are pretty well matched, if I'm just being completely honest. But it's going to be a while since the last time they did play, and the last time we saw Texas A&M played, they were getting handled in the second half by Texas. Handled on the line of scrimmage. Arch Manning was running. Wiseman ran for $150. The pressure for Texas was getting to Texas A&M. And in my opinion, I think Miami has a better defensive front than Texas. So that's going to be, first and foremost, probably the number one thing in this game is line of scrimmage play. Because Miami has a line of scrimmage that is, in my opinion, built to compete with almost every team in the country. Now, whether or not they do is just a completely different story. But just talent for talent, I mean, they got a top 10 pick on the offensive line and a top 10 pick on the defensive line, respectively. You know, Ruben Bain, he's probably going to be a top 10 draft pick. I can't think of the big fella on the offensive line, but he is projected to be a top 6 draft pick at the moment. So they have the guys. Miami does. They have the guys. And, you know, Texas A&M, they're no slouches either. I think the key for Miami is Carson Beck. I think this completely falls on Carson Beck, and I hate to have it like that. But at the end of the day, when Miami has been good, Carson Beck's been good. When Miami has been bad, the 2 losses, they came at the hands of Carson Beck. 4 picks against Louisville, the game-losing pick in SMU in overtime. And I will say, I think we are not going to see that Carson Beck because down the stretch, albeit say what you want against, ACC competition the last few games, Carson Beck has been playing the best football of the season. His completion rating has been, 78% over the last 4 games. He hasn't had a single game under 75% completion rating. I don't think he's thrown a single interception. He's thrown for, 8, 9 touchdowns during that stretch. So he's been playing some of his best football down the stretch. And so has Miami, man. The running game's been getting going. They did kind of struggle with the running game towards the middle of the season. The running game's been getting going. The defensive line is still playing great. The receivers, Malachi Tony, C.J. Daniels, they've been playing well. I think Miami is peaking at the right time. And that's all that matters when it comes to, postseason football. Like in the NFL, the team who usually wins the playoffs is usually the team that goes into the playoffs with momentum. We saw it last year with Philly. They kind of struggled at the beginning of the year, and then towards the end of the season, the Eagles, they just got better and better and better. And then right before the playoffs, they just all clicked and they made a run to the Super Bowl. And that's what I'm seeing out of Miami. I don't know if they have what it takes to go and win, 4 straight games. That seems like a lot. Because they'd have to win Texas A&M, then the winner of this one would play Ohio State, then they play the semi game, then they'd have to win the national championship game. That seems like a lot. I don't know if they can do that, but I think Miami has really both of these teams. I know I'm talking about Miami a lot, but that's just kind of because they're the team I just wanted to talk about first. We're going to get to A&M, but Miami, they have what it takes to make a run. Whether that's getting all the way to the national championship, I don't know, but they have what it takes to at least win a game, maybe 2 if they upset Ohio State. They have the offensive line. They have the defensive line. They have a quarterback with experience. Again, say what you want about Carson Beck. I know when he's bad, it's really bad, but this is still a guy who has played in high-level SEC games. In SEC championship game. He's played Florida. He's played Tennessee and Neyland. He's played all these high leverage games. So I don't think the home crowd of College Station will impact him as much as maybe people think that home crowd is going to. Because again, this is a guy, he's been in the big SEC moments. He's played at Auburn on the road. He's done all this. So I think that experience will serve great in the situation. For Texas A&M, this, like I said, Miami will probably be the best offensive line that they have played, or best defensive line that they have played all year. Because A&M, you can maybe compare Miami's to Texas's. I think when Texas is playing at their best, they have a conversation to be better than Miami, but I think Miami's defensive line has been more consistent than Texas's all year. But I mean, call a spade. Texas A&M, they kind of just beat up on the bottom of the SEC, which even if it is the bottom of the SEC, it is still the SEC. So I'm not just gonna act like it's the same thing as playing the worst teams in the ACC, because it's still SEC teams with talent. But you saw what happened when they played a pretty tough team in the SEC, Texas. They got shellacked in the second half. And Miami, they may present some of those same challenges that Texas team did present. But I will say, A&M, their defense, it's legit, man. It's legit. They are a top 5 team in the country in sacks. They have arguably the best third down defense in the country. It's insane. In that second half of that South Carolina game, South Carolina could not get a first down. They went from scoring 30 points in the first half to not being able to really get any first downs in the second half. And that's a testament to Texas A&M's third down defense. If you are living in third and long against Texas A&M, they are going to feast. And if the end of the game comes by and it's a situation where Texas A&M won, the first thing I'm going to look at is that third down number, or the third down number for Miami, because in my opinion, I think that may be the telltale all for the success that Texas A&M did have. Because I see a situation where Carson Beck is consistently having pressure in his face, where he's not getting, you know, ahead of the chains on first and second, so he's consistently having to be, third and 7, third and 8, third and 9, third and 10, and that's when the Texas A&M defense tees off, starts forcing maybe some turnovers, a pick or two, and I could see a situation where Texas A&M wins the game because Carson Beck is struggling. Specifically because he is behind the chains and he is in third and longs all the time. Another thing for Texas A&M, what is the play of Marcel Reed look like? Because we were talking, we've seen the bad from Carson Beck. We've seen it this year, but we've also seen the bad from Marcel Reed. Man, we have that first half of that LSU game. What did he do? He threw 2 turnovers. One of them happened in the red zone, in the end zone. The first half of South Carolina, what do we see? He threw 2 turnovers. One of them was in the red zone, I'm pretty sure. Texas A&M, the second half of Texas A&M, he just didn't look all there. Because the thing about Marcel Reed, the development and the jump that he's made from last year to this year, I mean, it's been incredible. Last year, he really ran because he kind of had to. This year, he's running because he wants to, especially in the passing game. He's made extreme strides, and I'm excited to see the amount of strides he makes, next year, because he has announced he is coming back. But Miami, they've seen and played well against, good running teams this year. When they play Florida State, Castellanos, he's an incredible running quarterback. And he kind of held them in check. So can Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain limit Marcel Reed? Can they contain him in the pocket? Can they get pressure on him? Because, again, like we said about Carson Beck, we can say the same thing about Marcel Reed. When pressure gets to him, when he's not comfortable in the pocket, he will start to run early. He will start to get flustered. He will start to make bad decisions and turn the ball over. So that's really, at the end of the day, I think going to be the deciding factor for both teams. Which defense can get pressure on the quarterback the most, which defense can have the most success, which defense can make the other quarterback the most uncomfortable, because I think the quarterback who ends up playing the best will be the quarterback who has been the most comfortable, who will be the quarterback who the offensive line did a great job protecting them, so they weren't constantly under pressure, they weren't constantly having to extend plays. And because when both of these quarterbacks are comfortable, they are both incredible quarterbacks. So I think that's going to be the deciding factor. I'm going to have to take Miami. You're going to give me the points, 3.5 for Miami. I just like how well Miami has been playing down the stretch. Texas A&M, I'm not going to just sit here and act like they've been one of the worst teams in the country down the stretch. And, they only lost one game that they kind of had control of in the first half. But there were some concerns from that Texas game at the Black Friday. And I do just think Miami's, like I say, is just peaking at the right time. Everything is clicking. The quarterback specifically is playing the best football he has played all year. And I think even on the road, Miami goes in there. They dominate the trenches. Carson Beck plays a clean game, a clean and efficient game. And I do think Miami takes this one. We will take Miami -3 or +3.5. Next up, we got Oklahoma versus Bama. Right now, this line has been pretty much hovering. I think it opened at 2.5 Bama. It got as low as a pick'em, I'm pretty sure. Right now, it's sitting at Bama -1.5. Man, I've been going back and forth with this one, but I think I have ultimately come to a decision that we will get to later. But let's just kind of break down this game in the first place. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about Oklahoma and Alabama is the struggles of Alabama, man. The struggles of the University of Alabama. They've been pretty present down the stretch, man. Pretty present down the stretch. that SEC championship game was just not great all around. The defense struggled to contain Georgia. The offense was just completely terrible. The running game that hasn't been there all year was just bad. Like Alabama, they have not been playing well down the stretch. Like just going back to it, I mean it was really the start. I mean, it was really the start South Carolina game. They haven't looked good since South Carolina, and that was October 25th. Because they beat Tennessee, which capped off that stretch of 4 straight ranked wins, I'm pretty sure. And they dominated Tennessee. Offense was looking great. Defense was looking great. Excuse me. And then the South Carolina on the road game, it was a situation where they had to score a touchdown with a couple minutes left to survive South Carolina. The LSU game is when I really, really started to see some struggles of Ty Simpson specifically, because that was a game where they won 20-9, but that was a game where Ty Simpson really struggled for the first time all year, not connecting on the deep balls, not connecting on the passes. The amount of deep balls that he just overthrew or threw behind or threw to the left or right of the receiver, that's when I first started to notice it. And since then, it's been like, whoa, like there may be an offensive problem here at Alabama, because we saw at Oklahoma, which I guess we kind of did because they outgained Oklahoma in the first matchup, but they lost the turnover battle, so that kind of makes things a little bit different. They struggled with Auburn, they got blasted by Georgia, obviously, but yeah, Ty Simpson, he really hasn't been there all the way, and I think you could really chalk that up, at least in the last few games versus Oklahoma, Auburn, and Alabama. All those teams have pretty solid defenses. The one really good part of Auburn this year was their defense. And we know Oklahoma's defense has been incredible all year. They've forced 9 turnovers in the last 4 games. And I don't know, man. Ty Simpson, he's just not looking complete. This is a quarterback we saw the very first game of the year. When Ty Simpson is uncomfortable, just like we talked about. The difference between college quarterbacks and NFL quarterbacks, the number one, I think, biggest contrast between them is when college quarterbacks get pressured, they just and are uncomfortable, they just completely crumble. Patrick Mahomes, all these quarterbacks in the NFL, what are some of the best traits of great NFL quarterbacks? Is how good they are under pressure. You literally cannot blitz Patrick Mahomes because he will tear you apart if you blitz him. His numbers under pressure when he's blitzed over, the time he's been starting are just jaw-dropping. And that's just I know I'm going on a tangent here, but that's just one of the things that blows my mind about college quarterbacks is just how quick they crumble under pressure. And we've been kind of seeing that with Ty Simpson lately. We have. The Florida State game, that was a game that we really, didn't put a lot of the blame on Ty Simpson, but we saw he did not play well because the offensive line just could not block, and he was getting pressure in his face the whole entire game. And then the offensive line got better, started playing well, over the course of the season. But lately, we've been seeing in that SEC championship game, that game against Oklahoma, we've been seeing a Ty Simpson who hasn't looked comfortable, who hasn't been picking up the blitzes, who's missing the open man on the blitzes, who in that SEC championship game just is failing to put the ball in the right spots. He had a couple overthrows. He had a couple throws where he threw the ball behind the receiver, to the left of the receiver, up, down, just everything except the middle of the chest. And we know Oklahoma loves playing Alabama over the last couple of years. That defense has absolutely feasted on Alabama. The game earlier in the season, they had 3 turnovers. The game last year that knocked Alabama out of the playoffs, what did Alabama have? 3 turnovers. And I think it's just a matchup thing. I think Brent Venables, when he plays Alabama, especially these last 2 years. I mean, it's just, I think, a matchup thing. He has the guys on defense. He schemes up incredible play calls, and I think it just gives Alabama trouble on offense. It really does. And when you mix a team who has when you mix an aggressive defense like Oklahoma has with the fact that Alabama still does not have a running game, that's just a recipe for disaster. And then you add in a sprinkle of a quarterback who is just not seeing the field completely right now. Um, I genuinely think this is just a bad matchup for Oklahoma or for Alabama. Because, yeah, going back to the running game, Jam Miller leads this team in rushing yards, and I know he's missed a couple games. He's been banged up, and he still has only run for 498 yards. 498 yards. That's like wild. Leads a team in rushing and has only run for 498 yards. Um, I'm not. I know. I know. Sounds like I'm banging on Alabama. I don't think this is going to be. I think a close game. I don't think either one of these teams is playing well enough right now. Especially Oklahoma on the offensive end, I should say, is playing well enough to where I think this is going to be a 40-21, a 40-19 game. I think the under could be in play. And speaking of Oklahoma, the defense, like I just talked about, has been incredible. What they've forced 9 turnovers in the last 4 games. But that offense, man, that offense is just questionable, man. It has been questionable. It has not looked the same since John Mateer hurt his hand before the Red River game. I thought maybe, after a few games they could get back into it, and it just has not clicked. They've been winning these games by controlling the time of possession, by controlling the turnover battle, and really just getting like 1 or 2 big plays on offense. Like when it came to the Alabama game, the LSU game, the Missouri game, they forced turnovers and got, a chunk play on the offensive end, and boom, that was kind of really the game. And I don't know, man. I feel the opposite about this game as I did the Miami A&M game. The Miami A&M game, I think both of those teams could make some type of run, win a game or two. Oklahoma and Bama, I think one and done. Like the winner of this game, I think goes to play Indiana, and I think that's it. I think like they're gonna get creamed, either one of these teams. But yeah, Oklahoma, man, like they just, I need to see something from this offense. I do, because we know whether they force 3 turnovers or not, I think the defense can put them in a position to win this game. Defense and special teams, because that's another thing to keep an eye on. Oklahoma, they've been winning their games with defense and special teams, not their offense. They got one of the best kickers in the country who consistently has been hitting 50-yard bombs. They got a defense who has been consistently turning the ball over. And they just have to continue that recipe. They have to continue that recipe. They have to get pressure on Ty Simpson. They have to make him uncomfortable. They have to, force him out of his game where he's just not seeing the field clearly, because we know that Alabama's probably not going to be able to run the ball. If we're just being honest, Alabama's probably going to have to win this game with the arm of Ty Simpson. They probably are going to have to. And Oklahoma, I mean, they're no great running team either. They can barely run the ball either. But I think the element of the quarterback run with John Mateer does give them a bit of a boost compared to Alabama. And Oklahoma's running backs, they've been playing pretty well down the stretch these last couple games. They really have. They really have. So, with all that being said, I have to take Oklahoma. I've just seen enough of them against Alabama over the last 2 years, and they're at home. That defense against Alabama, I just think it's a terrible matchup for Alabama. I think that Brent Venables defense is just really, really tough to play against, and especially the fact that they can't run the ball. They're on the road. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a game like the first game where A turnover here and there, a missed field goal here and there from Alabama could potentially swing things into Oklahoma's favor. And I do think Oklahoma pulls this one out. We're not going to go crazy in depth. I'm sorry. We're not going to go crazy in depth with the Tulane Ole Miss game and the JMU Oregon game. Oregon right now, they are a 21.5 point favorite against JMU. I just cannot. We know Dan Lanning. He lives for these moments where like he feasts on teams who aren't that great. Throughout his whole career, all his losses have come to teams that are clearly better than him. And the games that he should win, he completely just dominates in. We saw him just blast Oklahoma State earlier this year. Like, I just cannot see a path where JMU does win this one or just keeps it close. We saw them struggle against Troy in the Sun Belt Championship game. Took really till the kind of end of that game for them to pull away. JMU's a good team for, relatively speaking, for their competition level, but I think this is just a different beast that they've played. JMU literally hasn't beaten a single Power 4 team all year. And the one they did play was Oregon, or was Louisville, and Louisville played one of the worst games of the season that year, and they still beat them by 14. Plus Oregon, it looks like they are getting Evan Stewart back, their star wide receiver. He was supposed to be the number one guy coming into this year. It does seem like the freshman Moore is playing as well. So if you're telling me that Oregon is fully healthy, they got the trio running backs there, I just cannot see a way. Cannot see a way where JMU does pull this off. So we're going to take Oregon minus 21.5. As far as Tulane and Ole Miss, this one I feel a tad bit different on, just a tad. And really, it's not for anything on the field related. Like, Oregon or Tulane is a 17.5 point underdog. And really, the only reason I feel like there's a sliver of a chance they could cover is just because of all the background things that are going on with Ole Miss. Obviously Lane Kiffin left, took the offensive coordinator with him, but then the offensive coordinator came back to coach in this game. That's the only way I could see Tulane winning this game. We saw this game already. We saw it like 45-10, like what, in week 4 whenever they played. It was 45-3 at one point. Like, there's just, like, what are we doing? But the chance that I do see Tulane of winning is if the defense played the way they played against North Texas, with all those turnovers that they forced, and the fact that, sorry, I got some congestion going on that I cannot shake, dude. It feels like every other week I come in here recording that I'm dealing with some type of congestion. But for the most part, if Tulane does upset this one, I think it's simply because of the fact that Ole Miss might be distracted. I think I saw Chambliss made some comments in regards to weighing his options when the season ends, and he'll have to see what's best for, blah, blah, blah. If Ole Miss, if their team is kind of giving up, if their team feels like, oh, we have an interim coach, blah, 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 like, I think that's the only way that Tulane pulls this one out is they catch Ole Miss by surprise. Ole Miss's heads aren't completely in there. They're still maybe pissed off about Lane Kiffin leaving, which I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think they will. I think these guys know the moment that's in front of them. I think they understand. They have a coach who has been there in the program that got promoted up from defensive coordinator. So I think that Ole Miss is going to handle business. 17.5. I do think they get it done. I think that offense is just too good for Tulane and that defense. But I will say, if there was going to be an upset, if there was out of these two Group of 5 games, it would definitely be this one. If Tulane does cover that 17.5 point spread, I won't be surprised. But I just can't, in good faith, pick them to cover the spread. So yeah, as far as the round 1 matchups, we got Miami plus 3.5. We have Oklahoma plus 1.5. We have Oregon minus 21.5, and we have Ole Miss minus 17.5. Excuse me. As far as the previews, that's pretty much all we got for that. I did want to get into some other news. Just going across the country, there's been a lot of stuff that has happened in the last week or so. Obviously, the Sherrone Moore news. I don't know if I've gotten on here and talked about that. Wild stuff. Got fired for cause for having some type of relations with a staffer. Then to make the situation worse, there was some type of alleged incident, alleged threatening of assault, or whatever the case was. You guys know the details. So I don't need to go into that. That led him to end up being behind bars. So I think that's just a crazy situation that, everything was right there for Sherrone Moore. You got handed the job after, I'd say he would have deserved it. He was the offensive line coach. Michigan during that time, they won the Jim Moore Award back-to-back years. He filled in as interim coach the year they won the national championship game. He beat Ohio State. He beat Penn State as the head coach. He definitely earned his right to be the coach. Last year, offense wasn't great. This year, it was much better, and you could see that they could have maybe built upon this year at a 9-3 year, and for that just to go all down the drain is kind of wild, man. Kind of wild, but I think you guys all know the details of what's going on with there. In terms of the coach search for Michigan, hearing names of Kenny Dillingham, Kalen DeBoer, which I really just don't understand why any job comes open, Kalen DeBoer's name gets thrown out there. Like I don't get. I would be shocked. I would be floored if Kalen DeBoer left Alabama. I would be floored. I think he is in one of the best jobs that he could be in right now. So like Penn State, Michigan, I'm just not seeing it. Gonna be curious to see who they hire. Hearing names like Jesse Mentor, not sure if he is eligible due to his show cause. I've seen stuff saying that it doesn't end till April. Saw some stuff that's saying it ends like today or something. So that's going to be pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see who they hire. There's been a lot of, I guess Monday was like the unofficial day for quarterbacks to enter the transfer portal, because we've seen a lot of quarterbacks enter the transfer portal. Obviously, DJ Lagway has entered the transfer portal. I think that was a situation where, from reports, he wanted to stay at Florida. He didn't necessarily want to leave, but, John Summerall and the new staff, they just kind of felt like he wasn't the guy they wanted. They challenged his work ethic. They challenged his, ability to want to compete, and maybe that rubbed DJ Lagway the wrong way. And because he said it wasn't about the money, he was willing to stay. He wanted to be at Florida, and seems like John Summerall wants to kind of go a different way, so he is in the portal. Names like Miami are obviously coming up, so it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. A couple other names, Sam Levitt, he obviously hit the portal, I think, before the season really officially ended, or like right after the season ended. We got Dylan Raiola in the portal. Just saw a report that said Texas Tech, and there's no motion between him and Texas Tech. I saw Louisville though. Louisville is a name that could be in the running for Dylan Raiola. As a Louisville fan, I would love that. I think he's an incredible player. It really never felt like the system at Nebraska really fit his play style. Like it just, I don't know, that it just really never felt like it fit perfectly. So if Louisville was able to get him, Braum loves his quarterbacks that have the ability to throw the ball. He loves them. So Would not be mad about that at all. We got Brandon Sorsby. He's in the portal, quarterback from Cincinnati. In my opinion, I think he's, as of right now, probably the number one portal quarterback. Been seeing some stuff. Maybe Texas Tech could be in the mix. That'd be pretty. I would love to see him at Texas Tech. I think he fits that mold perfectly with what kind of Texas Tech did with Brandon or with Brandon Morbin. I can't even say his name right now. With Brandon Morton, Brendan Morton, whatever his name is. I think he would be a seamless fit over there. Was there a couple other moves? I'm trying to see. So we got Sam Levitt, Sorsby. There was the news of Lenore Sellers staying at South Carolina. I don't know how I felt about that one, man. It kind of felt like it ran its course at South Carolina. I think they did get one of the Briles, the offensive coordinator at TCU. I think Riley Briles, maybe. I can't think of his name right now, but South Carolina did hire him, so maybe that kind of unlocks Lenore Sellers a little bit, because he did regress tremendously this year. The offense at South Carolina was just bad all around. He couldn't get protected. They have to fix that offensive line, so I'm not mad about that, but that one was a little surprised because I thought he was going to enter the transfer portal. Michigan State's quarterback, Aiden Childs, he entered the portal. I don't know. That's pretty much all like the portal news. But I'm trying to think of any other major news that kind of happened over the last week or so. That's really it, man. That's really all I got. Sorry if I just sound horrible right now. Like, I just cannot fight this like congestion that I've been like getting, this congestion over like the last few weeks. Like, it's like every other week. Like, I'll get it, I'll be fine, then it'll come back, then I'll be fine, then it'll come back. I don't know. So if I sound a little nasally, then you know why. But yeah, that's really all we have for this week's preview. For college football playoffs are here, man. It is here. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. We get to see some of these matchups that we regularly don't get to see. So I'm excited to watch it. We'll be here to do a recap after the games. We'll break down some of the second round games. So enjoy this weekend of college football. Enjoy the college football playoffs. And I will catch you on the flip side.